Well, hello again, good people. Welcome. Welcome to Brough Guitars Review. Again, I can't already talk, so this is going to be one hell of a video. It's because I'm tired. It's like 10 o'clock at night here. It is about my bedtime, but I wanted to talk about this guitar in particular today because I just finished it. Literally in the last, I don't know, half a week or so. All concept of time is gone. Like I said, it's past my bedtime. But again, I was very excited to get this done. I wanted to talk to you guys about it. Again, this isn't something that, especially for you Van Halen nuts, this isn't anything you haven't seen before, but maybe you might learn a little something, or again, get a little bit more details or a little bit of tips on how to, again, kind of do this stuff, yourself. So without further ado, this is my version of the 78 Frankenstein, or the black and white Franky, or the whatever else you want to call it, or the original, or yada 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 yada. Okay, again, this one is not perfect. There are many things that are different about this one in particular. Some changes I wanted to do myself to make sure that it played well for me in particular. But again, this is a very, very badass guitar. Turned out extremely well. I was very, very happy with this build in general. So what I was going for, again, is the 1978 guitar, as far as, all of us are familiar with. This was the guitar that was on the album of Van Halen 1, essentially. That album. Eddie's sitting there holding the guitar, and I don't know if it's right hand or left hand, but he's like this, and yada yada. And you see this, this guitar. So, what a lot of people may or may not know. Again, I'm not going to go into just detail for detail. There's so many videos out there about the back history of this guitar, and there's lots of cool myths and fun little facts about this guitar, and a lot of theories and this and that. So it's really cool to dive into and geek out on, especially if you're a huge guitar fan, because essentially, this guitar, in its later version, the black, white, and red, is literally the most famous guitar in the history of guitars, at least in my mind. But from my understanding of anyone that I've ever talked to or shown them a picture of the red, white, and black one, everybody may not necessarily associate it with Van Halen, but they have seen either that pattern or that guitar somewhere, and they associate it with rock. So again, it changed music history, this guitar. And then obviously Eddie. Eddie was really the concept, or the whole start of it all. But again, this was the start of it all. Okay. Now, me personally, I'm a bigger fan of the red, white, and black one. But even Eddie himself said that a lot of times he wished he would have left it black and white. So, Eddie had actually later tore the pickguard off and striped it up red again, because a lot of people were copying his game, which technically I think he got his inspiration from a punk rock player, if I believe, from back in the day, who had like a kind of striped black and white guitar. So I'm not really going to give Eddie all the credit and say that he was the original, because I know that he was a fan of this punk rock band. But again, who really knows, right? Who knows? The man was a god, okay? As far as rock music is concerned. But even Eddie himself said he wished he would have left it black and white. But who knows where music would be now, or without Eddie's mad scientist brain, or how he played, or this and that. Music history would just be not at all what we know it to be today, or even instruments for that matter. He's got like 3 different patents. The guy was literally a genius. And look, you can see me. That's driving me nuts. So I'm going to try and say a whole lot. But I'm going to say a lot, because again, this is off the cusp, my friends. Off the cusp. And water, no coffee. It's too late. And Halen's doing great. Thank you for asking. He's fantastic. He's laying right here being a good boy. So we're not going to distract him. Okay? So, little back history on the guitar, and then we'll kind of get into the parts and the build. So again, somewhere in the early 1970s, Eddie actually got a body and a neck from a company known as Boogie Bodies. Boogie Bodies was supplying Charvel with their parts at the time. But I think he got the neck for 80, and I think he said the body for $50 or something like that. So all in maybe $130. I don't know what that computes to back in the 70s. Still could have been a decent amount of money. But the body was apparently known as seconds, or it had a blemish, or there was a malfunction or whatever, and that's why he kind of got a deal on that. And obviously Eddie didn't care. He said, I needed a body, basically. So he said, I'll take, one that's a second. So what made this one a second, okay? And again, this body was bare wood back in the day, but there's a lot of theory out there. Actually, Rob Johnson brings up a great point. Pretty sure it was sunburst, or it was a burst of some sort. But we'll get to that later if I can even freaking remember. But he got the body and he got the neck, okay? And the reason why it was seconds is because literally right here is a knot where that little ding is. There's a knot in the wood, not exactly on this one, but I'm talking about on his. There was a knot in the wood, okay? And that's what made it a seconds, okay? So that's why you got a deal on it. So a little cool fun fact there for people who didn't know exactly where it was, because I always wonder, like, where was the defect on it? Like, no one ever really talks about it. Where the hell was it? Well, apparently that's where it was. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know everything, but I'm just telling you from my own research and being an Ed head for a long time, that's what I kind of found. Comment down in the comments. Let me know how big of an idiot I am, or am I spot on, or both. That's also, two things can be true, okay? So gets his body, he paints it, black. He stripes it up with the bigger stripes, okay? The bigger stripes. Then he goes over with white, okay? And then these smaller stripes, these pin stripes, okay? Actually duct tape on his. Duct tape. Now, I painted mine on there. We'll get to that later. But, again, his was duct tape. The smaller stripes are duct tape, not the big thick ones. The smaller ones, duct tape. That's why this one's all bent here. It's a bent piece of tape. Again, mine is paint. His was tape, okay? But this is essentially kind of what it looked like in 1978, okay? After he put it all together and played the hell out of it and this and that. Now, what made Eddie really cool was he was the first person that, at least from what my research, to put a humbucker. Again, the reason why it's a humbucker is because these are like two single coils kind of together, okay? And they cancel out the 60 cycle humbucker. And that's what canceled out that evil hiss when you get a lot of distortion or a lot of power or wattage through a pickup. That's what you're going to hear. It sounds atrocious. But he was kind of the first person to put in a humbucker into a Strat style body, okay? So from what we know, again, all the theory and history in the world, and you can kill me in the comments, okay? But what we believe for it to be was a Gibson PAF that he took out of one of his, either his Les Pauls or his, God knows what he had. The man had tore up so many guitars, right? As far as you know, it's probably Gibson Les Paul, because what PAF was associated with anyway. And put it in here. He routed this out. It was actually like a single coil route, and he routed it out all funky and put this pickup in here. And because the poles don't line up with the strings correctly, that's the whole reason why I had to slant the pickup with the treble side lower, for the poles to be able to line up with the strings exactly, so that way he could get better tone, better output, better volume, any noise at all. And he direct mounted it into the wood, which wood vibrates, strings, vibrate. And so it actually allowed the guitar to be more resonant, which is another reason why he does a lot of direct mounting into all of his guitars. It's a lot more resonant. Now, I don't know if he put any clear coat finish on it or not. I believe he didn't. I believe he went and just did a rubbing compound to just even out the stripe pattern, okay? But this was Eddie's, main guitar for years. I mean, his favorite. He called it his baby, and of course he's got the tone knob on there, as we always say, more volume, more tone. That was his whole concept behind it. Now, before you destroy my tribute replica here, well, again, there's some things on here that are wrong. We're going to get to it. But another thing that Eddie was also known for was the patent of also the Floyd Rose locking tremolo. He had a lot to do with that technology as well. He even has a patent for the frickin' tray table where he would play, at that time it's 5150, like a piano, and he'd play it like, you know, like this on a tray table that attached in the back of the guitar, and he'd be like, and he did that, which was another cool thing that Eddie did. Again, I'm kind of jumping around everywhere right now. Now the pick guard he actually cut out, I think it was from what he said was a vinyl, an old vinyl. Again, for you those either new to this world, you don't know what a vinyl is, but those are records. That's what they used to listen to back on a record player. It's the big round black disc you see at 50 diners and all that stuff in your grandparents' garages, your grandparents' garages, all of that. He can cut out his pick guard, which I thought was really cool. But again, Eddie was just, he did stuff that for himself, you know, which was really cool, especially for back then. Again, before my time, but I still think it's badass. So another thing that's cool about this guitar is specifically the headstock. Now the headstock is a larger Strat style headstock, also known as the CBS headstock, okay? I don't know what the hell CBS stands for. Let me know in the comments. I didn't do all that much research as far as this, but he had a Gibson sticker on it. Now, why do you think he'd have a Gibson sticker on it? It's not a Gibson guitar. Not even remotely close. But the only thing that was Gibson about it was that PAF. So again, as he would say, he cross-pollinated a Gibson Les Paul with a Fender Stratocaster style guitar. And then, I mean, merchandise, or I mean, not merchandise, but like any instrument company, this and that, all started copying this. They all started putting humbuckers in their guitars and making super strats and guitars with cool paint schemes. And I mean, that was all really the blow up of Eddie Van Halen. But anyway, he put a Gibson Heads sticker on here. It's just a sticker. It did come off over time. You'll see photos with it. You'll see photos without it. But it's another thing that kind of made this guitar a little bit different that a lot of people don't know. That's why on the EVH tribute guitars that you see, the EVH logo is actually gold. It's paying homage to this sticker that he had on there. Again, another little fun fact. And there's a little cigarette burn here too. Very Eddie, because he would smoke and he put the cigarette here in the strings and it burn and ash and this and that. And that's just how it went down. So again, there's not really a whole lot to this particular guitar. Again, mine is a little bit different. We're gonna go over that here in a second. But I mean, like I said, this was Eddie's main thing. He played the shit out of this guitar for years and years until he later retired it, and then Wolfgang just recently broke it back out to play on his Mammoth 2 album that's going to come out, I believe, here in really a few weeks, not much longer from now. Check it out. Mammoth is great. And again, for those of you who didn't know, before Eddie Van Halen was Van Halen, they were known as Mammoth. And before Mammoth, they were known as Genesis. So again, a couple of other little fun facts that maybe you didn't know. Maybe you did, great, you know? It's my channel, we talk about what I want. So let's go ahead and just dive into parts. And then as I get to the parts, then we'll talk about, you know, kind of like what makes mine different. Because this is not an exact replica. It is not, okay? I'll never claim mine to be exact. But it's a good, close rendition, okay? Let's start with the body. The body is a lock body, okay? It's the Franky body. It's got the Franky route. That's why it's, you know, you see a big giant ass gap in there. Yes, this little piece of wood does show in the actual guitar as well. Hi, Kyle. So that's the body. The paint, again, we did paint on all these stripes, okay? So we went black first on the guitar. I taped off everything, and I looked at many photos. And we're gonna get to the looks of the guitar and again, what's different here. But I'm just giving you a full rundown of kind of what it did. I want to say the body was like maybe 120, 130 bucks maybe. Paint, 2 cans of, I did Universal Black first, okay? Taped it off, then I went over it with Wimbledon White. Also, word of advice, make sure you have all your parts. The pick guard, the pickup, the Floyd rose, make sure you have all of your parts in hand. Because what you can do is you can set them on the body of the guitar and then figure out exactly where the tape should go in conjunction with where your hardware is. And then you're gonna know if it's gonna look correct. Because if you paint it first before getting a pick guard, doing all this stuff, you're gonna put your pick guard on there and you're gonna realize, oh my God, this stripe's a little bit too close to this one, but I have to have the pick guard fit the neck pocket absolutely perfectly, but then it's not covering the cavity down here, and then, oh my God, and then you're gonna upset yourself. So I don't know why I haven't mentioned that to you in any video up to this point, but do that. You know, watch all my videos because I miss a lot of stuff going off the cusp here, and I go from one to the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, and I just forget little details. But the thing is, if you watch them all, then you get the accumulation of the big picture. Again, I don't make a damn thing from this, not a penny. None of this is monetized. It's just me out of my own free time because I'm trying to help you all. Because I remember, until this day, I still learn. I make mistakes, but learn from my mistakes, people. And I made some mistakes on this one. Again, even after I tell you all what not to do, I made the same freaking mistakes on this. I'm doing the hard work for you, okay? Learn from the dummies. I mean, I'm smart, but I do some stupid stuff sometimes. Don't we all? So I'm not trying to step on Halen right now. So that's the body. Again, Universal Black. I used Wimbledon White. I think I used maybe 2 cans, each side, painted it, yada yada. Then I reliced it, and we'll talk about the relicking here in a minute. But that's the body, okay? I got the jack plate off of like eBay or something. It was like $5, very cheap. Tone knob was like $3, not a big deal. The pick guard. The pick guard is from my man, and I hope it's okay to drop your name, buddy. If you see this and you want me to not talk about it, then I guess tell me. But it's business for you, I guess. His name is Mark Blankenship. Blankenship, if that's okay to say your name, buddy. It's out there now. Mark Blankenship. I remember watching Rob Johnson. I would give that dude kudos. He's an Eddie fanatic. He's great use of information. But Mark Blankenship actually made the pick guard to make it look like where it's all cut out by, hand here. Because Eddie did cut his out by hand. Now, I loved his pick guard. I did, but I'm not going to lie. I thought that this area here was it came out a little bit too wide. And again, maybe it's because my dumbass didn't put everything together first before I decided to tape it and figure out where stuff was. But I actually cut this just a little bit straighter and a little bit down more because I felt like the shape was just slightly off. Not anything bad about his product. He does great stuff, and he did another pick guard for me in another build that I'm going to talk about at a different time when it's done. But again, this is just food for thought. To my eyes, again, maybe I'm blind, I don't know, but I did cut a little bit of it off, okay? I just want to be honest with you guys. But the pick guard's great. It does exactly as it's supposed to do. It's all cut up. See how it's a little bit bigger there in the cavity, the cut? Okay? So again, that's the pick guard, okay? Again, the, what are they called? The eye hooks, eye screws, eyelets. I'm drawing a blank. It's past my bedtime. Got 2 of those. I think they're the number 6s. Again, I would go in with a screw, a smaller size screws. Get yourself a power drill. Save yourself the time and effort. Drill a hole in that sucker. Put that in there. Turn it with your hand or a wrench with a towel over it so the wrench doesn't just jack this up. It's still nice and smooth. And put it in there. Real easy. And I would do that after you paint it and you get your finishing coat on. I did put clear coat on this. I just used, I think it was off brand at Walmart called Wood Finish Spray Can. I think I used the semi-gloss on it. I didn't want to use glossy because it wasn't a glossy guitar, even despite, photos. But I think it's from the rubbing compound, and him smoothing it out made it look a lot shinier than what it was. But again, that's what I used. I think I used 1 can each side. Okay. Now, another thing that's, again, different about mine. I did do an original Floyd Rose on it, okay? Now, later with the black, light, and red one, he had a Floyd, obviously, on this. He's had a lot of different tremolos and a lot of different necks on this guitar throughout the years. It's another reason why it looks beat to shit, besides all the touring he did and all the playing he did, and God knows what else, all the Heineken he spilt on it. But I did put a Floyd Rose on it. I'm not a big fan of normal tremolos, especially for as much dive bombs as I like to do, or, you know, pinch harmonics or squealies or the horse noise or all the Eddie stuff, the harmonics. It's just, it frustrates me more to have to keep it in tune and tune it often. So it just wasn't feasible to go out and gig with and play for a long time. Again, you can set up a tremolo correctly to where you're going to have to tune it less and still be able to use it great. I'm not saying it's not impossible. It's just for me, I don't have the time or patience to set it up. I've always been a Floyd Rose guy, and I know people hate them. I don't care. I like them. I love Floyd Roses. I really do. They're great. They're fantastic for what they're supposed to do. I never had problems or issues with it. I will say if you get the knockoff brands like the 1000 series and this and that, just go the original. It is literally a huge difference. You get what you pay for with these things, I promise you. Again, you can only get what you can afford and upgrade later. Do it, man. You know, just we all start somewhere, okay? I've been very fortunate and very lucky to get to do this and come across some good paying jobs and save and work my ass off for this stuff. The stuff this wasn't given to me. I built a lot of it on my own, you know, because I couldn't afford the stuff or the 15,000 guitars or $15,000 guitars or the 25,000 or the 6,000, you know. Built, you know, you do it on your own, just like Ed did, you know. But I did get a Floyd Rose on it. The 78, the EVH has a normal tremolo, and then there's also a run that Chip Ellis did, you know, where it's like 15 grand or more of these as well. Then I think they only made like 15 of them or something. I can't remember. But I think Tommy Coletti from Music Zoo, again, if I could butcher his name, has that there, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later too. But again, that's another thing that's different about mine. The pickup is just an extra bridge EVH pickup I had from that exotic Wolfgang that I tore apart to put together the Wolfenstein. I saved the pickups, and I actually totally forgot I had it, and I needed a black one because I was going to put the Jalen, I think it was the 78 or the Franky. I was going to put that in there finally and check that one out. But I think the reason why I didn't is because I got the Relic one, and it just looked off for this, and it just didn't. It wouldn't have looked right. And again, I don't know why I cared, because there's some things on this that again are different. But I do try to stick to the original as much as possible. We talk about the other differences. The neck plate, the serial number is not this BS here, whatever that reads. It's not that. I think his was, you guys know what it is. I've talked about it in other videos. I don't know off the top of my head. I think it was like 61707, but I know you're going to judge me because I probably just got that wrong. But again, I'm tired, and I have it on my other guitars. This one I just wanted to get together so bad. And I had an extra neck plate, and it was already beat to hell for me playing it before somewhere else with Buckle Rash. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to put it on there. I don't give a crap about the serial number. So there you go. I don't care. The neck, again, is a CBS neck from Musicraft. Now, Musicraft, I got to be real honest with Musicraft. Their quality control there for a while was not good. I got several necks from them. I mean, probably not even 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where I got like the heavy rolled fret edges, and the fret edges were horrible. I had a bow in one of my necks. Granted, it was a pretty wood, and I didn't get a finish on it, so that was technically my fault. However, they weren't willing to take it back or do anything, which really pissed me off because that was like a $700 neck. So I took some time off from Musicraft because it was like every other kind of neck. I mean, they make great necks, they really do. But then sometimes every now you get a dud. But again, that's what happens when you a manufacturing company. Can't be perfect all the time. And I kind of ran out on a couple of them. That's life. But I figured it's been some years, and I want to get back on the train of giving them a chance, because I know that they can make good necks. I mean, again, there's Warmoth that makes good necks. There's Butala. There's Kenny. There's Fairfield Guitars, I think, makes them. I think, yeah, there's just so many options now. But Musicraft really impressed me this last time. I got, and again, I'll go over the specs here in a minute. I'm going to have to pull up my email. But I did go something a little bit different. I took a chance on them. But let me start out by saying this. There was, you can't see it now, but here by where the tuners are, actually, like I said, you can't see it, it's blatantly obvious. Right here, see this grain of wood that's right here? That dark brown right above my finger, it's going, just, ow, I just stabbed myself with the string. It's going across there. That was a blemish / crack in the neck there. And they called me. They did. They called me. They were like, hey, we're about to end the production. It doesn't really affect the neck. It does have a blemish. We could start it over again. However, we could give it to you either a discount, or if you'd like for us, I know you just want a normal thin lacquer finish on it. They're like, but we could actually go over it with some oil, and it'll make it look dirty. And he's like, and that will fill in that blemish. And I was like, yeah. So I was like, it's supposed to be Ed's 78. It's supposed to look played and dirty. So I was like, you're really just looking up for me anyway. And so he did put that on there, free of charge, as they should have. And as you can see, it looks kind of dirty. And the lighting in here is kind of horrible. But if you would have seen this thing, I mean, it was a bright white wood, and now, you know, it's kind of dirtied up. You know, especially you can see kind of there in the headstock right there, like right above the Gibson, it looks kind of gray. It looks a lot better in person, and you can really see it. I mean, you can't see a damn thing on here, I ain't even gonna lie. But I'm trying to show you. I mean, see how it looks kind of gray there? Yeah, it's all over the neck, and it feels great. It's not sticky. It doesn't, when my hands get sticky, it's not like rubbing on there. Yeah, this is the Musicraft CBS neck, and it is very comfortable, and it plays, I mean, great. It plays great, and the guitar is very, you know, helps if I'm not, you know, if I'm not like sitting on that thing. It smells great too. Love the smell of wood. It's 21 frets. Let me pull out the specs on this thing real quick before we get started. Hold on the specs for a second, because on the neck too, I did a really shitty thing, and I put some stupid ass tuners on here from an old God knows what, and the turning ratio I think is like negative 1.2,708,001, because you got to turn like 4 times for the string to catch. I'm gonna replace those, but I had a really nice patina on it and made it look, see, old. So I was like, yeah, throw them on there. It's a double locking trim. Who cares? Yeah, that was stupid. So I'm gonna change those. The sticker. Where did I get the sticker from? I want to say I got the sticker also from either Mark Blankenship, or got them from, I want to say I got the sticker from him too, if I recall. Again, another great thing. You peel it off. It's on a thin, clear film, and you put it on there, and bam, you're done. But there you go. There is a string tree here on the original one. It is a kind of nut. Is it? I mean, all the specs are online for the actual one. I know it's like a golden color. I don't want to keep saying bronze. I know that's not it. But you get the gist. So that's what's different on mine. And real quick, I want to talk about this stripe that a lot of people get wrong on these builds. And I still get it wrong. It bothers me. That's why I just let that sink in for a second. But it is this stripe right here. See that stripe? Here's the correct way. The stripe comes up here. What do you think this connects to? This little portion right here that goes up above along the neck here. That's right. It's supposed to connect to this stripe. It's all freaking one. And what did I do? I said, for whatever reason, I went, and I put it right freaking here, like an idiot. Damn it, Kyle. Don't do that. Don't do it. It upset me. You're welcome. Again, another thing I screwed up on for you. You're welcome. Outside of that, I mean, everything else is really spot on, to be honest. The relicking, again, I did all with X-Acto knife, okay? Or I did it with glue. Or I took off, like, that's glue that I put there and then went through it with an X-Acto knife, got the wood to show. That there was a long piece of tape that I cut to make it look like that, and then rolled it a little bit. Obviously, all that's X-Acto knife scratches, okay? Now, here's this thing right here. This wear right here on this horn, this wear. I couldn't tell you if it's wrong or not. On Ed's, this is further down, and it comes actually kind of from like here over around this back of the horn, not quite up this high, and this comes down further, okay? That's what's on his. Now, let me show you this monstrosity, okay? So the $15,000 one that Tommy Coletti owns at Music Zoo, I go through and I watch that video several times because, again, when I tell you guys you can't find any photos of like sides of the guitar, it's very hard. So I just try to go off other people's builds, kind of come up with an idea, come up with my own, or find the actual one and do it that way. But let me pull this. I had this photo saved because this is how dumb it looks. I don't know how it's going to look on iPad or not. So here's Tommy Coletti talking about it in his photo, or on the video, and I paused it. And looky here. Shoot. No! No! I did the Rolodex of God knows what. Okay, let me... That's what he's got on there. Okay? That's on the Chip Ellis $15,000 or whatever. Look at that. Pretty close, right? I think so. But on Ed's actual one, I looked at photos and it's further down and it's, no, the wood's showing. Again, these guitars aren't 100% accurate. The only one that's 100% accurate is the real one. But it's this video on YouTube. I sat there and I looked at this video, so many times, watched these two guys talk about it. He's got the EVH brand one and he's got the $15,000 one. But again, if you kind of start like looking through, good Lord, get out of here. Doing this backwards. But if you kind of start like scrolling through, the photos, this is how you do it. This is how you kind of see, where stuff is. I didn't like the bend of this. So I wasn't about to do that. But see, look, his has the tape. See how it's actual tape that it's coming off there? Try and do this and hold this for you at the same time. Wow, I'm so skilled. Look, there's the normal tremolo on it. Okay, look, there's a slanted pickup. Pretty cool. But again, this is how I kind of got the idea of where to relic, what it looks like. Again, here's the extra hole in Mark Blankenship's pick guard that he's got here. Okay, I have it also on mine, but I haven't ripped through the foil. But again, that's another thing that makes his different. You see the foil there, the 2 extra holes. Again, that's something that a lot of the other builds get wrong. But again, mine's not 100% perfect. So who might I sit there and say either way? But again, just trying to help you guys out. Other than that, I mean, the wear on all this stuff. I mean, see, look, it comes with like the case candy and all that for 15 grand. How awesome would that be? And see, oh, and the serial number is 61071. Okay. Yep, I've talked about that in previous videos. Sorry, I let you down, Van Halen fans. I don't have it freaking memorized. But again, you know, that was the inspiration for the back of mine. So again, you can go to like evh.com, or you can go to Guitar Center and look up these actual photos, or like I said, or you know, his actual the video, you know, and you can just see again where the relicking is. Now I did Wimbledon white paint on mine again because it is a an off-white tint. It's not bright white. It's a very off-white tint. It turned out perfect. Get yourself Wimbledon white. It's worth it. Now see, here's the normal headstock. See, it's got the string tree on it. And again, his wood's a little bit darker. Mine's not, but you see cigarette burn. You don't see the Gibson sticker on there anymore because it came off, right? So again, that's another thing that's different about mine, but I wanted to pay homage to when that was on there because I just thought that was a really cool story. Like, look, there's another photo of the neck plate for whatever reason I took it. Did I get that relicking right too, right above it? I did. That's why I take pictures of all this stuff. Now, see, when I painted mine black, it's going to be a long video on the Franky. Man. There's mine. Taped it up. See, that's how you see it. I did black first. And look, there's the lock body. Oh, remember, always paint your neck pockets. Or, I mean, tape them off. Don't paint them. Tape, then you can paint. Okay? There's the back. If you want to like a, kind of like a little diagram, you know, take your photos if you want. You're welcome. I got to start doing this with all the builds because I got, you know, photos for freaking days. Yep. Then I painted it white. Nothing exciting there, right? Woohoo, Wimbledon white. There's the back. Look at that. Left all the tape on. I took it off. Okay. There it is. Here's the back. And then I started to zoom in on some of the relicking that I wanted to do and make sure I got on mine. When it was all said and done, this is kind of how it came out with the pick guard. There's the back. Again, you just literally saw this all up close. Real quick, I know this is an Eddie Van Halen video, but you know who my second favorite guitarist of all time is? It is this guy. I don't know what my volume is. His faces. Look at that. That was earlier this year. That's Red Beach, by the way. If you like Van Halen, not that he was ever inspired by him, I don't know, but the dude's a phenomenal freaking guitarist. Like him, Steve Lukather. I mean, there's a slew full. But those, like Neil Schon, like those are like my top like 4 guitar gods ever. The only one I got left to see is I got to see Steve Lukather. Got to see him. Otherwise, I've pretty much seen everybody else. But neither here, though. Let's get back to this. Let me go over the neck specs real quick, because I told you I was going to go on that, and I'm going off into a tangent. So let me pull it up here. So I got it. So, again, when you order custom necks, like I'm going to do a video on how to even think about any of that or figure that out, or what does the radius mean? What is the shaft wood? What is this? What is that? Because like they kind of describe it on their page. Like some other pages don't talk about it. They just assume like you know what you want. And then again, like you're starting from ground zero, you may not know exactly, you know, what you want, if there's a certain profile on a neck. And again, the neck to me is the most important thing on the guitar because it's what you use to talk. and it's got to feel comfortable in your hand. But again, when you're starting out playing, like, you don't know shit. So what are you like, I don't know if it's comfortable or not. I just learned what a G string was the other day, and it's not from my girlfriend. You know. But again, the neck was a CBS neck. Okay. It was all one piece. Let's see here. It's right-handed, obviously. 25.5-inch standard fingered scale, 21 frets. The nut width is 1 5/8 inches, okay? And that is the standard size for your Floyd Rose R2. They have different size nuts for spring spacing. So again, when you're getting these Floyds, that's why it's very important that you know what nut you need, because the nuts are getting more expensive. The maturity level. But they are the Floyd Rose shelves. They're getting more expensive. They're like almost $40 a piece now. But again, the 1 5/8 inch is the R2, and that's pretty much what Ed has used on almost all his guitars. I think he has a couple that has R3s on it, but R2s. Okay. It's the Floyd nut shelf with the rear mounting holes. Okay, which is those there, the snake eyes if you want, whatever. This is Vegas, can't say snake eyes. The heel width was 2 3/16 inches, which is your standard fendered neck pocket size. I will say, based on the neck that they got me, that measurement and the neck measurement I asked from Lock Bodies, they didn't match up. The neck was a little bit too big for the neck pocket size, which tells me that the neck pocket was actually cut wrong by Lock Bodies. So I did have to have that shimmed and fitted, which sucked. But again, small things. It plays like butter, so I'm not upset about it. I'm not throwing under the bus, Lock Bodies. I'm not. I'm just, somebody got to have blame, and I'm blaming you on that one. But it worked out perfect, and you made great products for me for a long time. Again, I'm just being honest with these reviews, guys. I'm always going to be honest. Even if it's stuff that's mine, I'll talk shit about it, because we all make mistakes. It's okay. I got tons, okay? What else? It was just a rock maple neck. Fingerboard was 10-inch radius. Feels amazing. Heavy rolled fingerboard edges, which was like an extra $40, but totally worth it. The tuner hole size was 10 millimeters, which is like your just modern style size for any tuners nowadays. Inlays were 1/4-inch dots, black, side markers black. 12-dot spacing was the vintage pre-1964. I don't even know if that was right or not. I didn't care. I was just like, just put 2 dots there, man. I just need to know that's 12. I don't really care. The fret size was 6230 nickel. When I did go silver, I didn't go stainless steel because I just didn't want to pour a bunch of money into the guitar. I'm kind of broke right now. But that's what we did. And I actually love those size frets. I might actually continue to go with the 6230. And this is the reason why it's very important that you look at your order, because if you really like what you got, you can just roll with that on your next one. That's another thing I like. You're like, I really like this one. I want this to be like my main neck on every guitar. And that's what you do. Trial and error. But again, it's expensive. So if you do trial and error, like me. So just figure it out first. It had a skunk stripe, which is the walnut stripe here in the back. The back profile shape is asymmetrical. I guess, again, I'm a very big fan of the asymmetrical. It's the 80 to 87, which I believe is on the slider, the smaller size of the EVH asymmetrical. Like I said, that neck feels great. And this body, the body is basswood, by the way. The body is basswood. So the body's basswood, neck is maple. I didn't talk about that earlier. Again, me ranting. It is extremely light. I mean, this is going to give my Kramer Neptune a run for its money. I actually need to sit down and figure out what weight is what on these things, because they're both extremely light guitars. I think this one might have it beat, but I don't know, because that one's made of plywood, the body is. So, but damn, I mean, it is light. It sounds really good for that Wolfgang. I was really worried about that Wolfgang pickup for it being in the standard. I really was. I was like, But maybe if it's direct mounted, it's gonna sound good. It sounds really good. It's hot. It is a very hot pickup. The 78 by Seymour Duncan is still my all-time favorite older Van Halen pickup, though. It's not quite as bright and as hot as this, but it's got some kind of magic about it, tone-wise. I love that pickup. Buy them. They're great. See what else is cool. Then I get a very thin lacquer coating. Had them pre-drilled the body, and that was it. So that neck all together was $275. Okay, I think if you get a neck sub $300, like, you got a steal, and especially for a custom made neck, like, I mean, you can't do better than that, man. I mean, you really can't, to get exactly what you want. And that's the great thing about not getting again, there's nothing against buying the EVH models or getting the Fender products or whatever else, but I mean, that's one of the advantages of custom builds. Is like, even though this is an Eddie Van Halen tribute guitar in my eyes, it plays the way I want it to play, which is going to be, it's for me, and it plays the way I want it to play. And it's not that I don't like how those guitars play. They play good. When you get good at guitar, you pick up anyone, you can play them, and then you're still going to sound like yourself. But there's just something about, picking up this guitar, and I mean, it just feels the way I want it to feel. And it turned out really well. It turned out really good. And again, I know this is a guitar that you all have seen 1,000 times. It's nothing special. It's nothing new to you. It's not anything any different. But again, I try to give you guys, present you guys with a little bit more information, a little bit different stuff, a different perception of things, just to try to give you a different, again, outlook on how you can do this. How easy it is, or whatever else. Like I said, all in on this guitar, I mean, I'm probably $1,600 in. That's pretty much about what I average. Maybe a little less, just because of some of the parts I already have from previous builds. So if you're thinking about, well, how much did all this cost you, Kyle? $1,600. If you go and you get it professionally set up, you're probably talking a couple hundred more if you don't want to do the soldering and all that stuff. Sometimes I pay for that because I don't feel like it, or I don't have the time. But this is one build that I really wanted to do for a long time, and I was going to buy the EVH one, but then I was like, you know what, man? I was like, just you've gone this far building them on your own. Just go ahead and build this one on your own too. And it turned out, like I said, I think really, really good. Another good one. Obviously, I mean, I'm biased. I'm sad because I made it. But like I said, if I do some shit work and I screw up something, I will be the first person to tell you guys, like, hey, like, I screwed that up royally, or whatever else. So, before I get off, I'm just trying to think about anything else that I might need to talk about or bring up. I do have, again, 3 other builds going. I'm waiting on 2 more necks to come in the mail. I got to paint 2 of them. I have not been quite as busy as of late. But again, I'm waiting on parts. That's another reason why I haven't really posted too often. My place has got parts and stuff everywhere. I'm very excited to get these next 3 builds done, and then I'm probably going to start talking about some other guitars that I have, some other gear. But I do enjoy talking about the Van Halen stuff, so I'm going to continue to talk about that while I have it, and some more stuff coming. And again, I appreciate all the love from you guys. I thank you for watching. Again, I get nothing out of it, except for the fact that I get to talk about guitars, which is enough for me. There's tons of other people out there, so the fact that you even came across this at all, I am extremely grateful. Thank you. Either way, the sun comes up for me and it goes down the same, whether you watched it or not. But again, there's someone walking their dog out here about to get mine probably worked up. So I'm going to get off of here. Again, thank you guys very much. Until next time, people, do whatever it is you do. Bye-bye.